here or not? In the first batch 1 to 100, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In the first batch, okay. So today we are going to deal with this topic, abnormal uterine bleeding. Likewise, this abnormal uterine bleeding we will deal in 4 classes. Today we discuss about the normal terminology, what we use, and classification and etiology. Then in the next session we will deal about how to take the history and how to write the case sheet. Because in out of 10 students, 3 or 4 members or sometimes 50% of the students will get this AUB case, abnormal uterine bleeding. So in case presentation also we will discuss, and how to write the investigations and management part in another session we will deal. At last we will deal about puberty, menorrhagia and postmenopausal bleeding. So you be patient. And today we will deal about the normal terminology. It is very, very important for all of you all. So please note down. Okay. So there are what are the various menstrual irregularities and definitions and causes you must be able to tell. Common menstrual irregularities are starting from amenorrhea, hypomenorrhea, hypermenorrhea, oligomenorrhea, menorrhagia, polymenorrhea, metrorrhagia, menometrorrhagia, precocious menarche, postcoital bleeding, and postmenopausal bleeding. These are the various menstrual irregularities the patient may present with. So each one you should be able to define correctly, and also the at least 2 to 3 causes you must be able to tell. So what is amenorrhea? Amenorrhea means absence of menstruation or cessation of menstruation is called as amenorrhea. So it can be, it is only a symptom. It is not the name of the disease. It is only a symptom of underlying some pathophysiological condition. So it can be, amenorrhea can be a primary amenorrhea or secondary amenorrhea. Primary amenorrhea means the girl has not attained menarche even by the age of 14 years without well-developed secondary sexual characters, or so secondary amenorrhea means cessation of menstruation in a previously menstruating woman for at least 6 months. So if she doesn't have periods for 6 months, then you call it as secondary amenorrhea. Whereas physiological amenorrhea will be seen before puberty, after menopause, and during pregnancy and during the lactational period. So whenever anybody asks the definitions, you must be able to tell correctly. Then what is hypomenorrhea? Hypo means quantity is less. So light or scanty bleeding or shortened duration of bleeding menstrual disorders is called as hypomenorrhea. So if the quantity of bleeding, that is amount of bleeding, is less than 5 ml, you call it as scanty bleeding. And duration of bleeding, menstrual bleeding, is less than for 2 days, you call it as hypomenorrhea. So light or scanty or shortened menstrual period is called as hypomenorrhea. Is it clear? Then what are the causes of scanty bleeding? Asherman syndrome, partial Asherman syndrome. Then what is hypermenorrhea? Hypermenorrhea is nothing but menorrhagia. Excessive bleeding and prolonged bleeding periods is called as hypermenorrhea. If the woman has bleeding of more than 80 ml, or the duration of bleeding is more than for 8 days, then you call it as hypermenorrhea. So if the quantity is less, it is hypomenorrhea. If the amount of bleeding is more, it is hypermenorrhea. What is oligomenorrhea? Oligomenorrhea means infrequent or less number of cycles. So the woman gets cycles for every less often for more than occurring at more than 35 days. So she gets periods and the cycle duration is more than 35 days. Then you call it as oligomenorrhea. Or in 12 months, if she gets less than 9 cycles, then also you call it as oligomenorrhea. Oligomenorrhea is commonly seen in ovulated disorders like PCOD, hypothyroidism, uh, like hormonal endocrinological conditions. We see oligomenorrhea. So menorrhagia is excessive or prolonged bleeding is called as menorrhagia. The causes of menorrhagia is all usually uterine causes like endometrial hyperplasia, fibroid uterus, adenomyosis, like that. Then polymenorrhea means frequent menstrual cycles occurring at an interval of less than 21 days is polymenorrhea. So if she gets more cycles, we call it as polymenorrhea. So this polymenorrhea is seen in which conditions? In This is usually seen in ovarian congestion syndromes like chronic PID and endometriosis. Endometriosis or chocolate cyst of the ovary, we come across polymenorrhea. Metrorrhagia means irregular intermenstrual bleeding is called as metrorrhagia. So this irregular intermenstrual bleeding, it may be regularly occurring at the mid-cycle, that is at the 14th day of the cycle, the woman is getting intermenstrual bleeding. Then it is Mittelschmidt syndrome. Then if she gets prolonged and excessive irregular intermenstrual bleeding, it is called as menometrorrhagia. Menometrorrhagia. Then what is precocious menarche or precocious menstruation? If the girl gets menstruation before the age of 9 years, it is called as precocious menstruation. It is mostly due to pituitary tumors. Then what is postcoital bleeding? Bleeding occurring after the coital activity is postcoital bleeding, commonly seen in carcinoma of the cervix and carcinoma of the vagina. Then postmenopausal bleeding is a woman who attained menopause and and she gets bleeding. That it is a retrospective diagnosis, and a woman in menopausal age group, if she has bleeding after 1 year of menopause, we call it as postmenopausal bleeding. So commonest cause of postmenopausal bleeding, all these things we will discuss later. So all of you please write down the definitions, and at least 2 to 3 causes you must be able to write. Then why do we have to know about AUB? So abnormal uterine bleeding affects 10 to 30% of women in reproductive age group, and 50% of perimenopausal women, and 55% of adolescent girls attending gynec OP. So 30% of women attending reproductive age group, they suffer with AUB, and perimenopausal women and pubertal age group, 50% of the people, they come with AUB to the gynec OP. It is a common reason for gynecological consultation. Around 40% of gynec OP, they complain of abnormal uterine bleeding patterns. So it is responsible for more than 1/3 of hysterectomies. So you should know everything in detail about this condition. So coming to prevalence of AUB, 30 to 40% of gynec OPs, and reproductive age group 10 to 25% of women experience AUB, adolescent girls 55%, perimenopausal women 55%, and 1/3 of hysterectomies are due to AUB. So what is the cause of irregular cycles after menarche for 1 to 2 years? After attaining menarche, 90% of the girls will have irregular cycles, that is once in 3 months or once in 6 months, or heavy bleeding, like that. Most of the girls will suffer with irregular cycles. So the cause for this is, what is the reason for this is because of immature hypothalamo pituitary ovarian axis. So the next question is, after how many years these regular cycles will be established? So any pubertal girl comes with these irregular cycles, you can give reassurance that after 1.5 to 2 years, this immature hypothalamo pituitary ovarian axis gets matured and she will be relieved of her symptoms. So the answer to the next question is 1.5 to 2 years. So coming to the definitions of AUB and DUB. Nowadays, we are not using the term DUB. It is DUB term is totally it's gone. So both AUB and DUB are not same. So what is AUB? Abnormal uterine bleeding is any bleeding from genital tract which is a deviation from normal menstrual cycle in quantity, frequency, cyclicity and regularity. So AUB is nothing but any deviation from the normal menstrual pattern. So any menstrual cycle will have 4 characters: the quantity of bleeding, then frequency of cycles, cyclicity of cycles, and whether cycles are regular or not. So any of these 4 characters deviated from the normal pattern, you call it as AUB. So abnormal uterine bleeding is deviation from the normal pattern in quantity, frequency, cyclicity and regularity is AUB. Whereas DUB is abnormal uterine bleeding with no systemic disease or structurally detectable pelvic pathology. So we used to use this term DUB. When we were students, we used to write the cases DUB like that. DUB is abnormal uterine bleeding with no structurally identifiable pelvic pathology. That is DUB. These are not same, and nowadays we are not using any term like DUB. So if you get any case of abnormal uterine bleeding, you write it as AUB only, because we see some of the students will be writing DUB by referring old textbooks like that. Okay. So FIGO, Federation of International Federation of Obstetrics and Gynecologists, and ACOG, American College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists, they recommend the term AUB only. There is no term like DUB. So what is abnormal? Before going to abnormal, you should know what is normal. So what is the normal cycle length? Anybody can you please answer in the chat box. What is the normal cycle length? Physiology. It is 28 days plus or minus 7 days. Okay, so normal cycle length is 21 to 35 days. Quantity of blood loss. How much of blood is lost per menstrual period? It is from 5 to 80 ml. So normal amount is around 30 to 50 ml, but they say the range as 5 to 80 ml. So if the amount of blood loss is less than 5 ml, it is hypomenorrhea, that is scanty bleeding. If it is more than 80 ml, it is menorrhagia. Okay. Duration of flow. Previously, the duration of bleeding is from 3 to 6 days. Now they say it as 2 to 8 days is duration of flow. So duration of bleeding is from 3 days to 8 days is normal. So if it is less than 2 days, it is hypomenorrhea. If it is bleeding for more than 8 days, it is prolonged bleeding. So it comes under menorrhagia. So why normally menstrual blood does not clot? So menstrual blood does not clot. It is a dictum because there is a perfect balance between the procoagulants and anticoagulants. That is the local hormones released at the endometrium. There is a perfect balance between these two. So if there is excessive bleeding, there will be clot formation. This balance is lost and there will be clot formation. So always passes of clots indicates heavy menstrual bleeding. So in the history, while you are taking the history regarding menstrual cycles, you have to ask about what is the how often she gets the cycles. That is for every 35 days, 28 days or 21 days. That is what is the cycle duration you have to ask, and what is the quantity of blood loss. Then what is the for how many days she will be having bleeding, and is she passing any clots, and what is the size of the clots also you should ask. So there is FIGO, that is International Federation of Obstetrics and Gynecologists. They have redefined the normal limits of menstrual cycle by using the median, fifth and 95th percentile. Previously, we used to have a range, but this FIGO has used some percentiles and has redefined the normal definitions which we are used to use commonly. Previously, we used to think the normal frequency of menstrual cycles is 28 days plus or minus 7 days, that is cycle length. Now, that is 21 to 35 days we used to take, but FIGO has redefined it to 24 to 35 days. Okay, just a small change, 24 to 35 days. Duration of flow is 3 to 7 days. Previously, it used to be 3 to 7 days. Now, 4.5 to 8 days. The quantity is 32 ml is normal bleeding. Now, they say that 5 to 80 ml is normal flow. Cyclicity is regular. Just we used to ask whether you get the cycles regularly or not. But now, there is a definitive definition for this one. That is cycle to cycle variation of plus or minus 2 to 20 days is called as regularity. So cycle to one cycle she is getting for 30 days. Next cycle she is getting for every 31 days or 32 days. Then also you can say it is regular. So cycle to cycle variation must not be more than 2 to 20 days. That is what it means. So how the menstrual bleeding stops? This is also one frequent question you will get. So once the menstruation starts, how the arrest of menstrual bleeding occurs? It occurs by three mechanisms. First, once the bleeding has started, the blood vessels get opened and endometrium has denuded. No, the raw endometrium will be there, and there will be formation of the platelet plug and clot formation occurs. The platelets gets come to that place and there is formation of the platelet plug. So once the blood vessels are plugged, there is fibrin deposition occurs and there is formation of the clot. But simultaneously, fibrinolysis also goes hand in hand to balance and keep the blood loss fluid. So on the fourth or fifth day, this fibrinolysis will be reduced and fibrin deposition will increase. So the bleeding will be lessened and gradually it stops. Next method is by hormones. At the level of endometrium, there is a balance between vasoconstrictors and vasodilators. The prostaglandins. So there are two types of prostaglandins, vasoconstrictors and vasodilators. Vasodilators are PGE2 and thromboxane A2, you remember. Whereas vasoconstrictors are PGF2 alpha and endothelin 1. So this estrogen will cause PGE2 and F2 in a ratio of 1:1 in the proliferative phase. So there is a 1:1 ratio of vasoconstrictors and vasodilators. Whereas in the progesterone phase, this ratio has changed to 1:2. So vasoconstrictors quantity will increase when compared to vasodilators. So there is control of bleeding. Another one is tissue repair. Even from the first day of cycle itself, the tissue repair will start. So from the mouths of the open endometrial glands in the denuded areas, the endothelium outgrows and covers the raw area under the influence of epithelial growth factor. Likewise, this tissue repair also occurs in the blood vessels. So the blood vessels will grow under the influence of vascular endothelial growth factor. So the epithelial growth factor is responsible for the growth of the endometrium, that is endothelium. Whereas vascular endothelial growth factor is responsible for the repair of the blood vessels. So by hemostasis, formation of the platelet plug and fibrin plug, then hormones, that is prostaglandins, and tissue repair. These three are responsible for the arrest of menstrual bleeding. So how will you assess the quantity of, how will you assess the quantity of blood loss? Then answer will be, you take the history of, the patient gives history of excessive bleeding. This history is subjective. Some people who are having heavy bleeding, they may feel that they are having less bleeding, or some people who are bleeding less, they may complain of heavy bleeding. So it is purely subjective. So we should be able to assess the menstrual bleeding. So what are the other history we have to take? We ask the woman about number of pads she is changing, and the pads whether they are completely wetted or not, that is completely soaked or not, you should ask. Then any history of passage of clots, any history of flushing or flooding of bleeding. That is, once the woman, all the blood collected in the vagina, at one time it gets flushed or flooded. That is called as history of flushing or flooding of bleeding. Any history of flushing indicates she is having heavy bleeding. Then any clinical deterioration of anemia is there or not, you have to see. If the woman is complaining of excessive bleeding and the woman is becoming pale, then you should think that she is having heavy bleeding. Then by PBAC. What is PBAC? Pictorial blood loss assessment chart. So by all these, we can assess whether the bleeding is excessive or not. So you can see this chart. So you can take the menstrual chart. How much bleeding she is having, you can assess by this menstrual chart. So ask the woman to chart out on first day, second day, third day, how many pads she is using, whether the napkins, she is using napkins or tampons. Tampons are usually used in Western countries. They keep these tampons. They are like napkins only. These will be kept inside the vagina. Because of the Western way they wear, they use these tampons. But if the napkins are used, if it is only partially soaked, if it is partially soaked, you give a score of 1. If it is more than 2/3, less than 2/3 soaked, it is score of 5 is given. If it is fully soaked, it will get a score of 20. Like that, how many pads she used daily, you ask the woman to chart it out. Then if tampon is used, if it is less than 1/3 soaked, score of 1 is given. Less than 2/3 is soaked, 5, score of 5. If it is completely soaked, a score of 10 is given. It is wrongly given in this, it is changed. So it is 10, 1, 5 and 10 for tampons. For napkins, 1, 5 and 20 is the score. So if she gives a history of passing of clots, a clot of 1 paise size, score of 1 is given. If the size of 50 paises, clot of 50 paise size, score of 5 is given. Okay. Then if there is history of flooding is there, then you give a score of 5. So you add up all these scores. If it is more than 100, it is menorrhagia. So the patient is having excessive bleeding. Okay. You give scoring depending upon the number of pads or tampons used and whether the pads are fully or partially soaked and presence of clots and flooding is there. And total score, if it is more than 100, it is the woman is having menorrhagia. So what is the name of this chart? PBAC, Pictorial Blood Loss Assessment Chart. So this is for objective estimation of the menstrual blood loss assessment. So this is same. So this is the menstrual chart, and she has to put the marks, how many pads she has changed and whether it is completely soaked or partially soaked. So coming to nomenclature and classification of AUB. So abnormal bleeding is any deviation from the normal pattern of menstrual cycle in cyclicity, regularity, uh, flow and duration. So this AUB is divided into acute and chronic. AUB is broadly divided into acute AUB and chronic AUB. Again, depending upon the etiology, we use Palm-Coins classification to classify AUB. So what is acute AUB? Acute AUB is any acute episode of heavy menstrual bleeding of sufficient quantity to require immediate intervention to prevent further loss. So any woman coming with an acute episode of bleeding, that is she is having excessive bleeding or one gush of bleeding or bleeding for 8 days or 7 days, that is prolonged bleeding, which requires some intervention, like she may need admission for blood transfusions, or she may need admission to give injectables or investigations. Then that acute episode, if she has, then you call it as acute AUB. Whereas chronic AUB means uterine bleeding which is abnormal in duration, regularity, volume or frequency that has been present for the most of the preceding 6 months. So if a woman comes to gynecopy and complains that she is having bleeding for 9 to 10 days, prolonged bleeding for the past 8 months, and she is taking irregular treatment or treatment consulted some private practitioners like that. So that complaint is present for most of the preceding 6 months. Then you call it as chronic AUB. Whereas acute AUB means acute episode and patient needs admission or intervention at that period. So that is the. There is one more terminology, AUB, HMB and IMB. HMB means heavy menstrual bleeding. IMB means intermenstrual bleeding. So AUB can be of acute episode or chronic AUB. Or this AUB can be heavy menstrual bleeding, that is menorrhagia, or intermenstrual bleeding, that is metrorrhagia. So all other terminology, that is polymenorrhea, polymenorrhagia, all these were gone. Only they use only these two terms, HMB or IMB. Heavy menstrual bleeding is nothing but menorrhagia. It is cyclical, heavy and prolonged bleeding for more than 8 days, or amount is more than 80 ml, it is HMB. Whereas intermenstrual bleeding is in between the cycles, she is getting the bleeding. This HMB is a subjective term, that is with the patient complaint itself, whether it is HMB or not, you can say. They have defined heavy menstrual bleeding as excessive menstrual bleeding which interferes with women's physical, social, emotional and mental quality of life, irrespective of regularity, frequency and duration of menstrual cycle. If the patient says that because of heavy bleeding, I cannot attend her duties, or it is affecting her social life, she cannot attend temples or something like that, then we have to call it as HMB. Whereas intermenstrual bleeding can be cyclical and predictable, that is it occurs on the 14th day of the cycle due to ovulation. Because of hormonal changes that occur during ovulation, she will get spotting or bleeding. Then it is Mittel-Schmidt syndrome. If the intermenstrual bleeding is irregular and erratic, it is called as irregular intermenstrual bleeding or menometrorrhagia, which occurs in endometrial carcinoma, cervical carcinomas, or sometimes with endometrial polyps. So another classification is depending upon the age of the patient, we classify AUB into pubertal AUB, reproductive AUB in the reproductive age group, AUB in the perimenopausal age group, and postmenopausal bleeding. Then this abnormal uterine bleeding can also be divided into ovulatory AUB and unovulatory AUB. Just for completion sake, I am telling this. Coming to causes of AUB. So the causes of AUB can be divided into general causes, pelvic causes, endocrine causes, contraceptives because of contraceptives, and iatrogenic causes. What are the general causes? Blood dysplasias like anemia. Severe anemia is the cause and effect of AUB. So severe anemia, then ITP, coagulation disorders, idiopathic thrombocytopenic purpura, von Willebrand's disease, leukemias, aplastic anemias, like that various blood dysplasias may cause AUB. Then coagulopathies, then thyroid dysfunctions, both hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism may cause AUB, and genital tuberculosis. Then pelvic causes like pelvic inflammatory diseases, pelvic adhesions, fibroid uterus, adenomyosis, endometriosis, endometrial hyperplasia, feminizing ovarian tumors. These ovarian tumors will secrete estrogen. So they will have endometrial hyperplasia and AUB. Then pelvic congestion syndrome. Then varicose pelvic veins. These are the pelvic causes for AUB. Then contraceptives like intrauterine contraceptive device. Then progesterone only pills and irregular usage of any steroidal hormones. OC pills also, if they use irregularly, they will get AUB. Then post-tubal ligation syndrome. These are the contraceptive causes of AUB. Then without any structurally or identifiable disease, if the woman has AUB because of hormonal changes, it is called as abnormal uterine bleeding. So the classification of AUB is into acute AUB and chronic AUB, then AUB HMB, that is heavy menstrual bleeding, and AUB intramenstrual bleeding, IMB. Then depending upon the etiology, they have used this Palm-Coins classification for etiological classification of AUB. So what is this Palm-Coins classification? If all must know what is palm and what is coin. The spelling is of palm is PALM, coin is COEIN. So each letter stands for various etiological causes of AUB. P stands for polyp. A is adenomyosis. Then L is leiomyoma, which can be, if it is submucosal leiomyoma, you have to write it as SM. If it is others, like intramural fibroids, subserosal fibroids, or cervical fibroids, you call it as O. So leiomyoma is AUBL. Again, it is divided into SM is submucosal, O is others. Then M is for malignancy and endometrial hyperplasia. Endometrial malignancy and endometrial hyperplasia. Then COIN is, C is for coagulopathic disorders, O is for ovulatory dysfunction. Then E is for endometrial causes, I is iatrogenic, N is not yet identified. In this Palm-Coins classification, palm indicates structural causes, whereas coin indicates non-structural causes. So these structural causes are discrete in nature, which can be measured visually with imaging techniques and by histopathology. So these polyps you can see by hysteroscopy, and by ultrasound you can identify these polyps. Adenomyosis also can be identified by ultrasonogram, and leiomyoma also. Whereas malignancy and hyperplasia can be identified by, they can be diagnosed by histopathological examination. Whereas non-structural causes, that is COIN, COEIN, COIN, they are not defined by imaging or histopathology. We require other investigations to diagnose those conditions. For example, coagulopathies, they can be diagnosed by coagulation profile and estimating the factor 8 in von Willebrand's disease, like that. Then in ovulatory dysfunction, we require estimation of the hormones, and endometrial causes, endometrial biopsy. Then iatrogenic causes, whether from the history, and also whether she has used any contraceptive devices and all, you have to take the history. Not defined means some rare